forgot the muddy waters are muddy right now, so I can't do the dishes. Oh well.
ゆず、ライム。ひなちゃん。ゆず、ライム、二人ともどうして。わからない。ひょっとして消えなくてもよくなったんじゃ。そんなこと絶対にない。ライムたちが消えないってことは、この戦いが終わってないってこと。そして、世界が元通りにならないってこと。どうしてゆずたちが消えないの？ひなこちゃん！その絵、そろそろ、どうしたの？
どうしたの？
大変なの。学校のみんなが消えていってるの。
Well, that's the opposite of who's supposed to be disappearing.
どうして？見て、あれ。
What? Hello. New guy suddenly. What a very unsatisfying final boss.
研修。でも、どうしてまだ残ってるの？あれは、顧問の化身、ガート。
Okay.
よくぞ勝利した。小さなかけらたちよ。感謝の意を示そう。
Do we
どう
fight?
いたしまして。ガート、どうして勝ったのに終わってないの？
その問いに答えよう。
我は前の戦いより人の思いの力を糧に戦うことにした。
それこそ
最も力をエーテルエネルギーを生み出すと考えたからだ。
Okay. I can definitely see it.
前の戦いではたやすく勝利を収めることができた。
そしてこの世界を
人の住みやすい環境に変えた。人の数が増えればより強いエネルギーを得られると確信していたからだ。
しかし
それが誤りだとこの戦いで認識した。
どういうこと？
100万年前、人の数は少なかったが
思いの力、
絆は強かった。
過酷な環境で生き延びるためお互いのことを強く強く思っていた。その力を使い戦いに勝利した我は
世界を人の住みやすい環境に変えた。
数を増やしより強いエネルギーを得るためだ。そして人はこのわずかな間に途方もなく増えた。しかしそれによって人は変わってしまった。
複雑な生き方をするようになり、
あれほど強かった絆は恐ろしく希薄なものになってしまった。
私たちの思いが絆が薄いっていうの。
そうだ。
今回は何度も他の原種を追い返すことしかできない時があった。
非常に危うい勝利だ。我は考えた。次の戦いで負けないために
どうすればいいか。
うん。
そして答えを得た。人は一つにまとまるべきだ。人の意識をすべて集め、
長い時間をかけ
一つに融合させる。
そんな人間をやめろっていうの？
いいな。
人はこれからも続く。
これは続けさせるための決断だ。
They're evolving, just
今までとは違う
backwards.
ステージへ
That's called
新たな
devolving.
一歩を踏み出すだけのこと。一つになればお前の苦悩は消える。
誰とも別れることなく。
お前たちはずっと一緒にいられる。
一緒に。
これは弱いお前たちを守る手段でもあり、リフレクターになる前、
お前は弱かっ
死んでいるように生きていた。
あの時のお前だったら拒絶しなかっただろう。また
同じように打ちひしがれる時が来ないとは限らない。
我はお前のような弱い者を守りたい。
これから先も。
ずっと。
私のような。
今からでも願うといい。新たなる一歩を。
それで
この戦いの勝者が得るものが
本当に決まる。
私の願い、確かに二人と別れなくて済むかもしれない。争いもなくみんな一緒にいられるかもしれない。叶わない願いに苦しむこともないのかもしれない。でも違う。
Thanks, but no thanks. I don't need your sympathy. Or anyone's. だが断る。
違う。そんなの間違ってる。確かに人の心は弱い。みんな裏表がある。お互いを傷つけることがある。そして失うことも。でもだからこそ絆を大事にするの。つなげたいと、しっかり守りたいと思うの。その過程がない関係なんて、与えられた絆なんて意味がない。そんなのは幻だよ。ダート、あなたの願うその一歩を私は願わない。ひなちゃん。
ならば
我を倒すか。
お前には
まだその力がある。
Fuck yeah.
しかし
この戦いの勝者はいなくなり、
他の原種が出てくるだろう。
それこそ人の世界は滅ぶ。
いいえ、倒さない。
すると
私はリフレクター。あなたを跳ね返す。
面白い。ならば
示してみよう。
お前たちの絆の力、
いや、お前たちの力。
まさかこんなことになるなんてね。
二人ともごめん。
謝らないで。むしろ嬉しかった。見せてあげよう、人間の力を。
二人とも行くよ。
The reason Hiyori has a dual sword in Second Life is because she shares her reflector powers with Mio now. Ain't that wacky. Since they share a fragment now, apparently.
絶対負けない。
あら、まだ余裕ね。
Looks like I'm not allowed to have a buff for this fight. Oh no, I still keep the buff. Yuzu still has 999 HP.
Power 力を引き出すよ。
エーテルチャージしよう。どうかな。
ほら、しっかり攻撃なさい。
必殺のすごい力だよ。行くぞ。あのコアをなんとかしないと。
今助けるよ。
ありがとう。はあ、行きます。行って。あの子はほぼ無傷かな。
豪華に焼かれろ。
Oh
ひなこちゃん、
God.
大丈夫？必殺のそれ、頑張れ頑張れ、いけ。何かないかしら。
星の力を見せよ。
守ってみせる。そりゃ
示してみせろ。
Is there a point to that cutscene? He's approaching. Oh, you're approaching me.
近くなってる。お願い、私に力を。行くわよ。よし。この調子なら。みんなを助けるよ。私がやるわ。ほらほら、頑張って。これで頑張れるかしら。
行くぞ。
エーテルが少ないぞ。注意しろ。任せなさい。早くして。死ね。守ってみせる。これで安心よ。任せてくれ。いい感じだね。リンクしよう。今助けるよ。元気いっぱい。待ってて。よし、この一撃なら。一緒に行かない？うん。この輝き。あんたあたいに任せな。おりゃー、ガンガン行くよ。いっていい感じだわ。必殺のもう少しでコアを壊せる。頼むね。あとちょっとだよ。
耐えられるか？
まだまだこれからだよ。行っちゃえ。私も手伝うわ。
まあこれほどの力が出せるのか。
これが私たちがつないできた絆。悩みながら得た本物の絆の力だよ。
だが我を倒せばその絆の記憶も失うのだ。
ひなちゃんならきっとやれる。これだけのフラグメントを集められた優しいひなちゃんなら絶対。ゆず、ライム、ひなちゃん、あと一息だよ。一気に終わらせよう。
Bonds need not be remembered. It is a power that exists merely because it exists. Or something along those lines. That was the coolest line I could come up with.
小判一つになる意志を。
This final boss fight's a bit more interesting than in Second Lights, I think. This one actually tests a lot of the skills you've learned. The final boss in Second Light felt more like a glorified cutscene, kinda like Super Big Ganon. Just kinda there. It's a victory lap, more than anything.
大丈夫？元気いっぱい。これでどう？行くわよ。よし。よっ。あとちょっとだよ。
行くぞ。
攻略法見つかった。
You did?
Hora, これを使う。来なさい。吹っ飛べ。しんどい戦いになりそうだね。グレイプウェイブ。
Finally broke one of them wings. Make it two. Actually.
あと一押しよ。大丈夫？ありがとう。いっぱい。はあ、行きます。はあ。これだけあれば余裕だな。さあ、出番だよ。
Wow.
行くわよ。守ってみせる。これで安心よ。全然大丈夫ね。
っちのペースなんじゃない？ リンクしてもいいわよ。
Just like in Undertale. Nah, just like any good video game should. The main theme is used. The main leitmotif is used for the final boss.
リンクしましょう。今助けるよ。頑張る。これで決める。破壊の一撃。指輪よ、私に力は。一緒に行かない？うん。この輝き。
Another one.
頼んだよ。あ、任せて。トラミラちゃん、お願いね。これなら跳ね返せる。
Woo! God, how do they keep getting away with all this collateral damage? Look at that! How are you gonna pay for that?
そうか。
私をも跳ね返すか。
小さきかけらよ。
我が身を移す者よ。
お前のことは忘れない。
いつか。
I'd rather not.
終わった。終わった。
I'm wet.
ああ、このままひっくり返りたい。制服汚れちゃうよ。ほら、ひなちゃんもこっち来て。いいから。子供の頃からよく二人でこうして背もたれ座りしてたんだ。どこでも座れて楽なの。でもどっちかが立つと残った方はひっくり返っちゃうんだけど、今は三人で。ひなちゃん？消えちゃうの？ ひなちゃんは大丈夫。
Oh hey, crying. So they actually can
寂しくないよ。
make the models cry.
忘れない。絶対忘れないから。ひなちゃん、ひなちゃん。さよなら、さよなら。
あれ？私、なんでこんなところにいるんだろう。
これでもう大丈夫だね。うん。世界は守られた。ライムたちの役目は、これで終わり。終わりの、本当の終わり。そし
Okay.
て、始まりの始まり。頑張ったね。うん。ゆずは頑張った。ライムも頑張った。やっぱり、怖いね。うん。でも、大丈夫。ライムたちは、これからも一緒。ずっと、つながっているから。あの世界で。うん。そうだね。ひなちゃん、忘れないよ。
Time for our first day at school.
おはよう。どこで手に入れたか、もう思い出せない指輪。お守りくらいにと思ってつけてきたけど。
ひなちゃん。
ゆず、ライム。そうだ。私は願った。最後に、心から願った。絶対に、忘れないって。
I like this beat. I just want to listen to it. Dang it, I gotta give out my thoughts. Alright, so that was Blue Reflection. Oh, lyrics, yep, I knew it.
騒いでるさよならの時が来たそれぞれの
Daisuke, oh no.
日々の教室目を閉じれば日々は戻るべき思い出に帰ってく花吹雪舞う空見上げていた遠く離れてゆくけど同じ空見上げたい
Wow.
通い慣れた道を新しい誰かが行く次の物語がここでまた始まるね手を振って見送った
Little Mermaid is kind of a very fitting analogy for Blue Reflection's story. More specifically on Hinako. I'm of course referring to the actual original Little Mermaid, not the stupid ass Little Mermaid thingy that Disney made. Not the animated, not the live action remake, like the actual book. With the main theme being blue reflection after all. The reason the sky is blue is thanks to the fact that the large ass object that is the ocean is reflecting light from the sun. I don't know how the sun creates blue reflections, but yes, the ocean, that's where life came from, and that's also the home and origin of the Little Mermaid, who wished to have legs and was granted them, but at intense cost, and ultimately chose to die in the end. Spoilers for a fucking millennia old story, I guess. I'm sure everyone already knows the story anyway, right? Couldn't get together with the prince, because love is a very, very strange and complicated feeling. Hey, the bathroom stall. Right, so, what did I think of this game? Inevitably, since I did play the second game first, and since I didn't do that in the second game, so apologies if you're watching this Let's Play first before Second Light, but I will be doing a lot of comparisons. First, just the game itself, the bad things. Lots of bad things. Most you could say are nitpicks. It's not explained how in the second game they're now defenders of the common, and why absolutely no one must go into it anymore. And the founding of the BSAA. Why do they keep doing that with every sequel? But just add a lot of new shit and don't explain it. Continuity. Extra channel. And then the Reflector Wars. Nice. Right, so let's go through the extras while I... Alright, so, obviously, there is the obvious nitpick that I never really stopped doing from the very beginning until the very end. The second game, thankfully, doesn't suffer from this problem as far as I remember. But, yeah. Translation. Very good job. I'm being sarcastic, of course. The dialogue is riddled to the brim with typos, grammatical issues, and other sorts of just mistakes all over. You know? Just mistakes everywhere. And, thankfully, it isn't bad enough to the point where you wouldn't be able to understand. It's not like one of those in-house translations of a game where they literally just put it in Google Translate and apologized and admitted that they didn't do a good job or put enough effort into their translation. In those games, it's forgivable enough. But for a game like this, Gust, Koei Tecmo, they're a pretty big company, you know. They have a lot of budget, a lot of everything. So we should expect and be disappointed when something like this. Granted, I guess at the time this game was made, I'm pretty sure Koei Tecmo as a whole still wasn't all that focused on going international. They were Japanese, and a lot of the times, companies are happy just serving on the country that they work for. But yeah, the translation bad. Not that bad. It's just it could be better. But at the very least, it's not offensive, so it is technically really just nothing more than a nitpick. But you know, a problem is a problem and that should be addressed. Gameplay, character, and story. Let's go through those. Actually, let's go with the visuals. Visually, the game looks fine enough, I say. It's a pretty standard and typical art style you'd expect out of Koei Tecmo if you've played any of their other games. It looks good, and as for the music, I just think it's so-so. There are a few standout tracks here and there, but for the most part, the tracks I think are either just bleh or meh. Apparently, though, I'm actually a bit of the minority in that regard, because there are people that like these songs and they are on Spotify Japanese and people have uploaded them. And if you look in the comment section, there's always people that'll always tell you, but you know, the sample size and everything. I could actually still be in the majority. It's just that if you ask someone if they like a thing, then obviously the only people that will reply are the people that actually like a thing. Unlike if you put a survey to a bunch of random people and ask them if they like or hate a thing, in which case you could get a more accurate representation of the masses. Regardless, that's my opinion, and my opinion only. If you like the music, that's good for you. But as for me, I just think it's decent. A 5 out of 10. You know? Right down the middle. I do really like the battle music, and the song I always insisted to play while on the school were songs that I really, really liked. Wow, that's pretty cool looking. Happiness zone, I think? Fear zone. Wow, look at how freaking. Oh. Why does Hinako look so menacing? Speaking of Hinako, let's talk about the cast. So, firstly, you're the student body of the school. That didn't exist in the second game. But in this game, there's a student body. There's a bunch of NPCs that have one-lines and stuff, and you can hear them. And I think that's really neat. It gives some nice world building, and you can look at the database and read up about the school, which is even more world building. And I think that's like super nice. It makes the world feel more immersive and realistic, as some people would say, like to say. And people see realism and immersion as positive qualities for any form of media, apparently. And personally, yeah, I like it. And what I look for isn't really immersion or realism, because like Osu is not an immersive or realistic game, but it is definitely fun. But that's a rhythm game where gameplay is king and the only thing that matters. In this game, there is merit to having stuff like that. What it sets up though for me is atmosphere. I think that's the real reason people look for immersion and realism. Atmosphere. I like the magical girl genre because of their slice of life nature. As the main focus. The more down to earth stuff that's just occasionally ruined by the main villains showing up and being bitches. But yeah, the fact that there's a student body and there's NPCs, and I really like that they all have their own kind of quick character arcs that you get to see throughout the story as well. I think it's really cute. It really makes it feel alive, as people would say. And yeah, I really like that. Like the stalker girl that got closer and closer until eventually they were finally able to have a proper discussion. Or the sister who's always waiting and impatient for her other sister, which said other sister you can see is always just dilly dallying until finally they're able to come to terms and just accept the fact that that's how they are. And plenty more other stories that I shouldn't need to repeat. Really, really cute and nice, and yeah, helps build the atmosphere and makes the entire game world feel really alive and lived in. I mean, granted, in Second Light, you being the only people there, it does still feel alive. Everyone has like their own schedule in that game, and you can see them doing their own activities if you're not going out on a date with them. And that does it makes the whole cast still feel alive since you actually see them moving around, unlike here where they make the game feel alive through quantity rather than quality, I guess you can say. Neither way is worse or better than the other. They're just two ways, different ways to handle a problem, and neither is really correct or wrong. It's the only reason they would be wrong is if they're applied at the wrong place at the wrong time. And there's Lawson. Uh, JoJo Part 4 reference here. I guess I guess it's a common convenience store. What's the word for it? Branch market thing. So the backgrounds really are just 2D images, huh? Interesting. Were these like pictures? Are these paintings? Is this like a real life? Is this like a real life monument from a real life park? They look pretty interesting. Theme park entrance. I don't remember this. There's the goddamn bags and the other stores. And I like the inclusion of a map, and whenever you go out of the school, and the transitions and stuff, it really makes you. It's another factor in the atmosphere that I really like, I suppose. Because yeah, we are still talking about the aesthetics, I suppose. I was gonna talk about the characters, but I somehow got back to continue talking about the aesthetics. That seems to be all the visual thingies. Nothing new got unlocked there. Now let's listen to some of the music. Why not? At the speed of sound. Yeah, triangle, square, and circle. I love this song. Some of these songs are given really, really weird names. Like, what the hell? Here's the dungeon music. What's this? I like the credit scene. That's another song that I liked, I guess. Oh, this is the opening music. Okay. There's the battle music. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say for the aesthetics. So let's actually move on to the characters. They're the main crux. They make or break up Magical Girl series for me. And while I like the atmosphere the game sets up, I personally think the Blue Reflection cast is pretty weak compared to Second Life. The character writing, I mean, they got the atmosphere right, I'll give them that. The character interactions and stuff between Hinako and friends, I think are all really relatable and realistic. I had an example in mind that I wanted to say, but like, I forgot. But, like, the things that you see them do, like, places that they go to and stuff, are all like really nice and, like I said, realistic looking. I mean, the characters themselves aren't realistic. And I guess you can say that's the problem? Not really, I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, I think all of the most of the characters are like really, really weak. Like, they feel really bland. I think they wanted to write the characters off as like these actual realistic feeling characters, like Rin with her boy problems or whatever. Like they're like really one note. All of the characters are really one note, and they don't really progress or become any more in depth than what you see is what you get. There are a few characters that I liked. Hinako, Yuzu, and Lime are in their own thing. Actually, Yuzu and Lime are pretty bog standard as well, I'd say. The only character that was actually well fleshed out and I think was written fine was Hinako herself, the main character. I didn't hate all the cast though. Rin, I already said, I already made the point that I really don't like her. Oh, here it is. But everyone else, I think, are really weak. Like one note is nice and all, but like if you're gonna make a character that's one note, they need to have the main theme they have needs to be like appealing and interesting. Rin has her fucking boy problems, which is really boring. Sanae, like, I don't know what Sanae is. I don't know. She's obsessed with Hinako's friendship. Like, they're either one note or no note. So the minor characters I like the most, I guess, would probably be Yuri. And I guess I think I kind of like Mao. Not really. She shows up in the beginning and then doesn't show up again until near the end. So she doesn't get any characterization because they saved her for last. Yuri was also saved for last, but she got characterized real good because we get to see her interacting and stuff and dealing with her problems, since that's like her thing. She's really smart, but she doesn't know how emotions work, which I think is a really cool character idea. Some of them are quirky as well, like Ako and the music lady. What's her name again? I forgot. But her talking out loud and stuff. And she seems oblivious to it, even though Hinako has already pointed it out a lot of times. I think that's pretty funny. But yeah. Speaking of Yuri, I guess I was a little disappointed in that. The Yuri thingy still wasn't as popular as it is back then when this game came out. Around the time of Second Light, and even in the anime, they kind of embraced the all-girl cast and made you do some Yuri shit. And here though, yeah, speaking of Yuri, no romance. You really are just good buds with people here. And I should talk about Hinako now, since she is the most in-depth. Because yeah, I like her character. Definitely not the most relatable. Because I think that's what they went with for Blue Reflection Second Light. They wanted to make an appealing and relatable character. Like Ao has big tits. She's short though, but she has big tits. And she's also a weeb, which is kind of the target audience of the game. So making Ao a weeb is technically them going for a relatable type character. Like, you know, like Deku or any of those other protagonists that are just meant to be blank slate types. Al does show a lot of personality, like the fact that she's really overly flirtatious. Hinako though is not relatable, and like noob authors tend to think that the main character should always be relatable, but the main character should be one thing, and that is interesting to follow. Making them relatable and insertable is one way to do that, but if you make a character that has deep flaws and good motivations and cool moments and stuff, then that is still a good main character, and that I believe is what Hinako is. I like to make fun of her. I like to compare her to Johnny because both of them are freaking have leg problems. Like Duster as well from Mother 3. Can't help but be reminded of him. Because whenever I see Hinako run, I'm always disappointed that she doesn't limp as well. Like Duster does. Okay, I thought that was a really neat touch. You know, not a big deal in the end, though. But yeah, her entire story arc of losing her legs and ballet being her entire life up until the point the game began, and being given new reason and finding new things in life to live and stuff. Yeah, she's a really nice and cool character to follow in her journey, I suppose. And yeah, the slice of life stuff she does with everyone else, like she basically carries the entire cast with her things. Kind of a shame we never get to see the play, but like, I guess that's fine enough. And speaking of the play, I guess it's time to move on to the last thing, which is the story. And it's pretty unique, I guess, for a Magical Girl series to do they did some things rather strangely, I guess. It's another one of them dark Magical Girl stories. They're kind of all the craze these days with Madoka Magica, ever since Madoka Magica came out. It's part of the reason why I like Precure as a series, since they're still the lighthearted Magical Girl series. I mean, I don't know, Magical Girls never have been lighthearted to begin with. Like Sailor Moon, like lots of people died. People die in that series, man. And lots of dark themes throughout. So I guess in that sense, Madoka Magica was never anything new to begin with, and this game doesn't do anything too crazy or original, I guess. In terms of themes and inspiration, I do think it's pretty generic and bland. That seems to be a thing that happens a lot with Magical Girls. So I guess you could say it is just part of the appeal of the genre. With power systems and themes that are pretty uninspired. Like, you got Blue Reflection, their powers are based on their feelings. Like, big whoop. But it isn't like Persona, where there's like tons of inspiration to the system of Persona, because like the name itself is already a reference that's oozing with inspiration and really ties into the character and writing and gameplay, and it's just really good overall, because like Persona is feeling the power of your emotions, your personality given shape and made manifest to allow you to fight and conquer the challenges that lay ahead of you. And here's just, you have feelings. The stronger they are, the better, I guess. But that's enough of the magic system. Like, who really cares about that shit, right? There's the whole dynamic with the magical girl and stuff. I don't know, it's a pretty relaxed story overall, and I really like that about Magical Girl stories. No more is this apparent in the fact that if you die while doing your reflector duties, you just get sent back to the real life with no repercussions. And time literally stops anytime anything big happens. So in the end, it's technically large stakes, but at the same time, since it's an underground thing that no one really knows, and their identity never has to be revealed, or it isn't that big of a problem. The only people that that made it kind of a problem are Mao and Yuri, since they're both pretty smart and perceptive. I don't know how to feel about the story. You already heard my reactions and thoughts and stuff on the story throughout this playthrough, so it's kind of hard if I just recapped and gave my summary thoughts and stuff. So just watch the series. You're already in the final part, so I assume you've already watched everything else here beforehand. So I'll stop with the story. So it's time for the last thing now, and that is the gameplay. Oh boy, I just can't stop talking, can I? I still have so many things to do. Why am I doing this? Alright, gameplay, let's just do this already. I already said some stuff during the Let's Play as well, just like with the story and characters and everything else. So this is just kind of just my final thoughts and stuff, you know, as always. The gameplay. So the real life thing, where you're just walking around and talking to people, I really like that. As per the dungeon crawling and stuff, you can tell this really is just a spin-off of Blue Reflection. In terms of gameplay, I think Blue Reflection Second Light beats Blue Reflection in some aspects, but Blue Reflection is better than Second Light in terms of gameplay and story and stuff in other aspects. So in terms of what I like more, I don't know, man. I'm kind of tied between them. Like, Blue Reflection has its merits, Second Light has its merits. It's kind of hard to compare them, because like they're similar, but at the same time they're not. I don't know how different each of the Atelier games are, but Blue Reflection and Second Light are both very different from each other. In terms of story, I guess the anime, I find it has the best story. Characterization is definitely Second Light for me, and gameplay is Blue Reflection, because yeah, I like the gameplay loop of this game better than Second Light's. The dungeon crawling in that game is boring, and here there is still dungeon crawling, and it is also boring, but it's small and it doesn't really get in the way. It's just there so that you have something, some sort of reason, some sort of explanation to what you're doing, which is gathering fragments and beating up monsters to solve real life problems of people going crazy in the real world. Whereas in the second game, you're like walking and walking and walking, walking and fighting. Cause like, yeah, cause like, the time in between, I believe, is the most important part. In Second Light, you spend a lot of time in the dungeon. In Blue Reflection, it's quick burst in between. Like one, you're walking around in the high school, and the next you're dungeon delving, beating up the monsters for your quest, and then the next you're right back to you're talking to people again, and then you're right back into it. It's a quick gameplay loop. Unfortunately, despite the gameplay loop being fast, the gameplay itself is really slow. Specifically, the combat animations take a while. You can't skip them. The active-based combat, I think, is pretty cool and stuff. But I didn't like the fast-paced before, but I really think Second Light did combat better, I guess. You have too many options, and like, it's too much complexity. The combat system, since that's kind of the main reason you're doing the gameplay loop, to get stronger, and you get more fragments, and fragments make you stronger, and you get fragments by collecting them, by fighting. so that you can build. Yeah, it's super complex. You got lots of fragments, and based on the choices you choose when interacting with the main cast, you get different fragments as well as the affection rating, which I never understood how it works. But yeah, it's too complex. Depth does not equal complexity, and this game is definitely complex more so than it is in depth. You got so many attacks and you just never stop learning them. Again, that could have to do with me deciding to be a skill hog. And then you get so many fragments and you can equip them, and it just never ends. Like, there's way too many combinations, and it's just really overwhelming, and like, it feels like a slog that you don't want to deal with. But other than that, it's manageable. It's cool. I'll give it credit though. Blue Reflection does have really good tutorials. Like, the Atelier series as a whole, including this spin-off, does a good job introducing mechanics slowly but surely to you throughout the game. Unlike some other games, unlike some other RPGs, because that seems to be a big problem, and that's the main reason why people say that RPGs are hard to get into. Like real-time strategy games, or games like Civilization, where there's just way too many things, and like you're not educated well enough for you to actually be able to understand and therefore enjoy them. Blue Reflection and the Atelier games, as I said, since I have been playing them, that is what I'll be playing next now that I'm done with this game. Last God. But yeah, those are my gripes. Those are the things I thought were good. Overall, Blue Reflection's a good game. Not great, definitely not bad. It's just a shame though. I want more games like Blue Reflection. But it's really hard to find games that have an all-girl cast. It's like, that's really all I want out of my games. Like, I'm thankful Rabby Ribby had an all-girl cast, and that I found that game somehow. Toho is great as well. Sakura Dungeon, I want more games like it. Man, all-girl cast, that isn't a visual novel and an RPG. And yeah, Blue Reflection and the second game definitely fulfilled what I wanted when I said give me more games like Sakura Dungeon. Like, I'm not looking for lewds, I just want girls, lol. I'm sounding like a creepy old guy now, I guess. So, yeah. I guess that is it. For Blue Reflection. Thank you all for sticking with me through for my actual 100% completion. Well, it technically isn't. I'd need to play through the game and do the other so I can get all the fragments. I'm like, fuck that, who's gonna do that? Who in the world is actually gonna do something like that? Right, so I should give a rating. Right, New Game Plus, that's pretty nice.
とうとうあの子が来てくれるよ。
Oh my god, I can't skip.
いや、がん
I Uh, hmm. What would be a fitting analogy for Blue Reflection for me as a whole? Like this game in specific, obviously, not the second game.
おはよう。
Hmm. What is Blue Reflection to me? That is the question. And if you want if you want me to give a real rating, 8 out of 10, I guess. It's just way easier to give ratings like that.
おはよ
Nah, I can't think of a good analogy, dang it.
う。おはよう。ほんと。もう。結局、いい加減、前にす。でも、立ち止まってる場。今の、まさか職員室は2か、ひとまずある。
Oh god, here we go. For better or for worse, I give Blue Reflection a magical girl game out of 10. It had a goal and set off to do it, and it technically achieved it. And for better or for worse, there isn't really quite like any other game like Blue Reflection and the second game, which is a video game about magical girls. And it's exactly what you'd expect. If you wanted to play a magical girl rather than just watch it or read a manga of it, then Blue Reflection is, I think, a perfectly fine game that achieves that very finely. And if that's what you want, that's what you need, then that's great, you know? Because who doesn't love a good old magical girl series or whatever? It doesn't seem like an extra difficulty's been added. That's pretty sad. So, I guess that's one last critique I have. Game's pretty easy. See ya.